Election Day, November 5th, voters can also express their opinion about the name of Roxbury's main commercial and community center at Dudley Square. A yes vote on the advisory question would call for a new name, Nubian Square. That's in connection with Roxbury's black community and a longtime business in the square, a Nubian notion. Our guest is one of the leaders of a group supporting the change. We'd like to welcome the chairman of the Nubian Square Coalition, Sadiki Kambon. Thank you very much for being with us, Sadiki.
My pleasure.
This is a long process. Tell me how you got started about changing the name of the square.
Well, essentially what it is that I'm the chair of the Nubian Square Coalition, but prior to that, I'm still the director of the Black Community Information Center, and we're an all-volunteer organization. So what it is that before this national movement around taking down symbols and monuments of individuals who were involved with the slave trade, several years ago, we led the effort to have the former Washington Park in Roxbury renamed Malcolm X Park, and the same with New Dudley Street being renamed Malcolm X Boulevard. So over 5 years ago, we were on a mission to take down the Dudley name because we found out that Thomas Dudley, who was the governor, oversaw the passage of a law that legalized slavery in Massachusetts, and then down the line, his son became a governor and maintained that whole process until the abolitionists stepped up to have the law ended. So what it is that, I believe, over 5 years ago, we started our mission to take down the Dudley name, educating the community and making it very clear as to the reason why. And so essentially, we've had a great deal of momentum and support to the extent that that's how it evolved into becoming a campaign of the Nubian Square Coalition. We've got businesses like One United Bank, religious institutions, neighborhood associations. We have a petition signed with over 2,000 signatures. So we got to the point where we felt that the momentum was there, that we needed to really come forward now and say, look, we want to bring some closure to this whole situation around wanting to change the name. And we want to change the name to Nubian Square. And so I know the question you raised with me before was about, well, why Nubian Square? And so we make it very clear that initially, when we had discussions around names, we had a variety of names that were thrust forward, including one that I had, and we couldn't get consensus. So I did research on the Nubian Empire, which started in 2000 BC, and by the year 5000 was the most powerful. It was an African empire, most powerful empire in the world. And so in presenting that at the next community meeting, I said, well, whether you're from Haiti or from Harvard Street in Dorchester, you can relate to the fact that we are Nubian people and that it would be appropriate for us to, in fact, call it Nubian Square. And so that's how we got consensus on the name, pretty much.
Is this really about ancient history as much as just the presence of the community that's lived in Roxbury for, the last 6 or 7 decades, maybe?
Yeah, well, this is, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of times folks say, well, changing the name, that's a symbolic act. And we say that it's more than a symbolic act because of the fact that what you're talking about is, cultural enhancement and folks having a feeling of ownership and, sensing like, this is our family shopping district. This is where I want to shop. Hopefully it'll encourage, young black and brown entrepreneurs to say, you know what, we want to set up our businesses there. But there's a whole, I'm really encouraged with the response we've gotten from young people when we talk to them about the Nubian Empire and Nubian Square. And, they're very energetic and, they're doing research about the Nubian Empire, which is really important. So there's a lot more to it because I said, you know what? I said there are Chinatowns all across the country and other areas that are based on the residents who reside in a specific area, and there's a reason why. It's in terms of that whole thing of self-awareness, and doing for self. And like I said, I gave the example, of the Chinatowns because of the fact that I respect, because just about every group out here, they do what's in the best interest of their group. And that's the type of mentality that we have to develop in our community in order to move forward.
Now, if you wind back to the middle of the 20th century, Dudley Square was sort of a hand-me-down business district with hand-me-down names. What's the advantage of a new name, especially since we're going to have this Roxbury cultural district around it? What's the importance of that?
Well, first of all, I remember when I was younger. I wasn't raised in Boston, but I remember we used to come to town, and that area was a thriving business district. You know, that seemed to be. In fact, my understanding is that it was the second most utilized commercial district in the city at the time, years ago. And so what we're feeling is that, you know, with Nubian Square, that because right now what happens is that if you say to somebody, what do you think of Dudley Square? And right away folks say, oh, you know, there's drugs and crime. And I say, well, look, that's my community, and I go there to the square anytime and I feel, you know, very comfortable there. But we need to move to another level, because we say, number one, the primary reason why we want this name change is to take down the name of a slave advocating family, which is a contradiction unto itself. Number two, it's a partial tribute to former Nubian Notion that served our community for quite a few years. And then also to send a message to the forces of gentrification that we intend to fight for the land that we presently reside on, because there's a lot of activity going on right now. Parcels have been designated down there. There's going to be development there, and we have to stay on top of it if we want to remain here.
This is being the news, and we're talking with Siddiqui Kambon about the campaign for a Nubian Square. Siddiqui, you have an event coming up this weekend, too, with some people who are going to be speaking about the change of name?
Well, yeah, what it is that we're actually going to be doing a press conference at the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club, and essentially it's to put the word out there about the campaign to the general public out there that might not be aware of what's going on. So we've got individuals like Miss Eleanor Williams, who's part of the Abdel-Kalak family from the Nubian Ocean. We've invited Louis Elisa of the, I can't remember the neighborhood association, Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association. Also, we have a former BU professor who is from Nubia, who's going to be speaking. So, you know, we're inviting the public to come on, but it's primarily to put the word out there because the election's this coming Tuesday. And I should mention the fact that this is a non-binding question that will be on the ballot November 5th. It's going to be in the citywide ballot. But the key to this whole piece is that we sat down with the mayor in March and his people. And what was determined was that it will be in a citywide ballot, but the final determinant in terms of the vote itself, win or lose, will be based on certain wards and precincts in Roxbury, because the mayor has stated that he wants the residents of Roxbury to make the decision. So that's really critical in terms of what we want to do.
Now, you're also going to mobilize some younger voters who might not really remember very much about a Nubian Notion. I'm comparing it to Haley's Pharmacy in Jamaica Plain, which is one place where if you walk in the door, you are more likely to see someone you knew than anywhere else. I mean, wasn't that what a Nubian Notion was like when you knew it? Oh, absolutely. It was a milestone. In fact, right now, it's really it's disappointing because there's a cash checking place at the location with it, because that was the cultural spot for us. You know, if you wanted to get anything that had to do with African culture, whether, you know, like the Ashi, or tickets to a performance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was a focal point for the community, and to lose it was unfortunate. But like I said, their family is involved, and we're keeping the name alive with the whole thing of Nubian. And actually, the square comes under the auspices of the city of Boston, which we're dealing with, and we intend to change that name. And once we win this, then we intend to continue our negotiations with the state to have the station renamed Nubian Station. We should mention briefly, this is an advisory question. It's on ballot citywide, but I guess the understanding from City Hall is if this wins, at least decisively within Roxbury. All it takes is one vote more than the opposition, and we win. Okay, that's decisive. Thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate the time. Siddiqui Kambon.